In April 2010, Zale, a beloved member of the Muskegon Boys, will become the latest young man in Terrortown to lose their life to gun violence. But in this case, instead of being shot by the ops, Zale would lose his life after a dramatic shootout with Chicago police. He was allegedly stopped by the cops at 10:30 p.m, jumping out of the car and apparently opening fire. The police would return fire, striking Zale, real name Isaiel Jackson, eventually taking him into custody and taking his weapon. But sadly, his injuries would be too much, and he'd be pronounced dead at 1:45 a.m. After this incident, some from No Limit would say that they were CPDK, a trend that surely would worry the police at the time. But sadly, the loss of Zale would be followed by the murder of another beloved member from the Muskegon Boys, as on April 12, 2010, 19-year-old Fazo Robinson, known as G Fazo to his friends, was participating in a dice game at the 2900 block of East 79th Street. At some point, apparently things went left, with gunshots being heard and the police responding to reports of a shooting. Once they arrived on the scene, they would find Fazo shot in the back, taking him to South Shore Hospital, where he would sadly be pronounced dead. Fazo would be sorely missed by his friends in the No Limit Muskegon Boys, with the likes of G Herbo going on to shout out Fazo countless times in his songs. He would also name his popular 2014 debut mixtape Welcome to Fazo Land, as well as popularizing a trend of referring to white Nike Air Forces as G Fazos in his honor. This is something that future pop sensation Juice WRLD would do in some of his songs, with this apparently coming from the fact that Fazo himself was a huge fan of the popular Nike sneaker silhouette. No arrests were made following G Fazo's killing, but many believe that the killing was the result of the ongoing beef with Lakeside. Following his passing, images of G Fazo would circulate with the caption Lakeside Killer, suggesting that perhaps before his death he had indeed played a role in violence against Lakeside, possibly attracting retaliation. However, others that are closer to Fazo would suggest that his death at the dice game was nothing to do with the ongoing feud, but regardless of who was responsible, it's believed that Fazo was a top member of the Muskegon Boys, leading to their enemies in Lakeside taking advantage of this loss and beginning to target Fazo's friends and family. Exactly a year after Fazo's death, a memorial barbecue in celebration of his life was held at 79th and Escanaba Avenue. Here, Fazo's family and friends would be gathered on the block when a car pulled up, slowing down, rolling down the window, and someone inside opening fire. 4 grown men and a 10-year-old boy would be hit, but fortunately no deaths were recorded. Sadly, this was just another example of how ruthless the shooters in this story were willing to get. And from here, naturally, things would continue to escalate and blood would continue to spill between these two warring groups.